You're watching News 3, the Southern Illinois news leader. Live from WSIL TV in high definition. News 3 starts right now.
This spur actually isn't used all that much, and when it is, the trains are not traveling very fast.
And that may have saved the life of a semi-driver who crashed into a locomotive on the Randolph-Perry County line. Good evening. The crash at the railroad crossing along Illinois Route 4 left the truck driver and 2 crew members on the train with only minor injuries.
But it's been causing major concerns about environmental damage throughout the day. News 3's Matthew Norton is back from the crash site with the latest. Matt, what's the main concern for hazmat officials?
Well, fuel leaking from that locomotive. It could have been carrying up to 5,000 gallons when the semi ruptured its fuel tank. That sound is the train going in reverse to get off the tracks after the crash and scraping across the semi's door. Like lifting a curtain on stage, it revealed just how lucky the semi's driver is to be alive. He tells News 3 he only suffered some scratches and cuts. As you can see by what spilled on the road, the semi was carrying coal when it rammed into the locomotive.
When I got here, the lights were functioning, yes.
And they continued blinking in the hours after the crash. With the semi-driver and 2 crew members on the train safe at a local hospital, the focus turned to the thousands of gallons of fuel on board the locomotive. When the semi hit the train, the locomotive's fuel tank ruptured.
That's why we had so many first responders out here. They were trying to contain it to a ditch. I think they've been successful at doing that.
There's a lake nearby, and hazmat crews didn't want the train's fuel to leak into the water. By evening, a heavy-duty tow truck had arrived to move the semi out of the way, and the semi's driver had returned to the scene, released from the hospital, bandaged up, staring at the mangled truck he'd been inside just hours before. Tonight, we're learning that driver didn't have insurance. Illinois State Police citing the 27-year-old from Grand Tower for operating an uninsured motor vehicle, failure to stop at a railroad crossing, and failure to reduce speed to avoid a crash. Meanwhile, State Police said just minutes ago that Illinois Route 4 is now finally back open. Matthew Norton, News 3.
Thanks, Matt. Also in Randolph County today, 2 people, including a 3-year-old child, were flown to a regional hospital with major injuries after an SUV crashed into a semi on Route 150. State police say Devin Wood crossed the center line and hit the eastbound Big Rig. There's no word tonight on Wood's condition or that of her 3-year-old passenger. The roadway was shut down for several hours while crews cleaned up the scene. Investigators in Paducah are looking for a hit-and-run suspect who backed into an 83-year-old woman in the Pizza Inn parking lot. The victim, who refused medical attention, says the driver wasn't paying attention. Police say the suspect told the victim she never saw her before speeding away. Police don't have a great description of that driver, but say she was driving a Honda with an Illinois license plate. Anyone who saw the incident should call Paducah Police.
Heading up to Union County now, where 2 men will head to prison for a string of church burglaries. Christopher Noble pleaded guilty to stealing from 4 churches in the county. A judge sent him to prison for 7 years. Prosecutors say Christopher's prior criminal history earned him a harsher sentence. William Noble also pleaded guilty to taking part in 2 of the burglaries. He got 4 years. The Nobles will have to pay nearly $10,000 in restitution to those churches. This Paducah man finds himself in a heap of trouble tonight after leading police on a short chase today. Officers noticed Brian Griffith committing multiple traffic violations. When they tried to pull him over, he sped away and threw a plastic baggie out the window. Officers quickly caught Griffith and discovered crack cocaine in that bag and even more drugs inside his car. Investigators say Griffith was out on parole for previous drug offenses.
More than a dozen people wanted for various crimes in southeast Missouri are now behind bars. These are pictures from various scenes as Sikeston Police and several other agencies went on a warrant sweep this morning. Police had a list of 30 suspects. Nearly 20 were either arrested or given an order to appear in court. They were wanted on everything from drug dealing to child abuse to statutory rape. Some of the suspects are facing new charges tonight for having weapons or drugs when they were arrested. Time now for a first look at weather. Here's Jim.
Biggest thing today was just seeing the breaks in the clouds, watching a time lapse from our camera in Ziegler. Of course, we started the day with overcast conditions, a few breaks here and there, and then pretty quickly in the morning hours, things had cleared out. We did see a little bit of blue sky, but by this afternoon, the thin clouds had sort of filled back in, and around sunset, a few clouds around. But overall, the overcast conditions are gone. I think for the next few days, we'll see clouds around, but we're also going to see quite a bit more sunshine. Now, in the evening time, it means temperatures can fall a little more quickly. We're seeing that up around Mount Vernon, 61 degrees there, but Paducah's still holding on at 68. So a pretty wide range in temperatures right now. That's very possible again tomorrow morning. It does look like we'll start the day with temperatures in the 50s is pretty much the rule. Could be some low 50s in spots that completely clear. Other spots may start the day in the middle to even upper 50s. And by tomorrow afternoon, I think these numbers may be just a degree or two too warm coming in from this model, but to middle 80s, a possibility in spots that see a little more sun tomorrow. The chance of rain during the day is pretty small. Tomorrow evening, it goes up a little bit and then stays up during the weekend. We'll talk about that in the forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jim. A report from federal regulators gives new insight into that huge oil spill off Santa Barbara last month. The Federal Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration says the pipeline showed heavy corrosion and had worn away to a fraction of an inch before it burst, sending crude oil into the Pacific Ocean. The spill caused a 9-mile oil slick and prompted the indefinite shutdown of that pipeline.
U.S. officials now say they accidentally sent out more than twice as much live anthrax as first reported last week. Defense officials say the mishap never put anyone in danger, but admit the live spores went to more than 50 labs in 17 states here at home. They also went to 3 other countries, including a U.S. base in South Korea. People there are now taking antibiotics as a precaution. Officials say testing on the anthrax samples showed no live spores. They're now trying to figure out why.
More local news now. SIU trustees will soon announce their choice for the school's next chancellor. Several candidates applied for the position, which trustees narrowed down to these 2 finalists, a provost from Oregon State University on the right and one of SIU's own administrators. Both made the final cut. Both share a passion for education and spent their lives influencing positive change for higher education. SIU faces financial challenges of its own, a subject both candidates tackled.
We need to seek strategies that are cost effective and yet provide us an environment in which we can grow.
I think building a much more stable financial piece is a key element, and enrollment is part of it.
A decision on the new chancellor could come sometime this week. You'll find a full write-up about both candidates on SIU's website. We have a link to that in this story on WSILTV.com.
School may be out for Heron High School students this year, but some special summer work is just beginning for a group of teachers. The school's English department wants to raise money for new textbooks. Many of the books are up to 20 years old and have been outdated for years. Since the state cannot pick up that tab, a group of teachers have taken matters into their own hands. They want to raise $20,000 this summer in order to buy students new books before next fall.
They're just in very, very poor condition, and we want to offer better to our students because they deserve better.
If you would like to help out or learn more about the fundraiser, visit our website, WSILTV.com. We have the link to the GoFundMe account with this story. Illinois' 911 system could be headed for a major overhaul to bring service to counties that don't have it. But one local county is not happy about it. We'll show you why.
Plus, the new Pinckneyville Hospital nearly complete. We'll get a look. And tornado chasing isn't all our weather warrior had to do this week. We'll check in with Tony as News 3 at 10 continues.
You're watching News 3 at 10 with Dennis Turner, Jayla Gray, Chief Meteorologist Jim Razor, and Sports with Darren Kennard.
A bill headed to the Illinois governor's desk would overhaul the state's 911 system, bringing service to some southern Illinois counties that don't currently have it. As News 3's Anna Giles explains, Pope, Hardin, and Hamilton counties stand to benefit, But Hamilton County leaders worry it may cost them their own hard-fought 911 system.
Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
The hope would be that we would be able to host our own 911 center here.
The money has been set aside and Hamilton County voters gave the go-ahead last year. Sheriff Robert Crowe says plans to create a 911 emergency response service for the county are nearly complete, but could be quashed if a new bill consolidating 911 service throughout the state takes effect.
The new bill is maybe going to put a complete hold on that, where we would have to farm our 911 out to another county.
The state wants to bring emergency response service to 9 counties in Illinois that don't currently have it, including Pope, Hamilton, and Hardin County. It would work through consolidation with other departments that already have a system, bringing service to Pope and Hardin counties, but it would also dismantle Hamilton County's efforts to have its own responders, forcing them to merge with another county.
It's going to add time to that response, and it's going to put people's life in danger.
Saline County 911 Director Tracy Felty has been studying the bill and says it's unclear. Hamilton County might have a chance to keep their current program.
There's a waiver process, but we don't have any rules of how the waiver process is going to work.
Felty says the law does not yet mandate who would consolidate with who and would require some hefty administrative changes within the state emergency response system. But still, Felty says the state's main goal is to get rural counties on the grid.
Their thought process has been, you've had as long as everybody else, you haven't moved forward, so now we're going to force you to go forward with it.
Anna Giles, News 3.
Governor Rauner has not said whether or not he plans to sign that bill.
Meanwhile, the governor told the heads of state agencies today to have a plan in place in case his administration decides to stop sending them cash. Rauner says if he can't reach a budget deal with Democrats, the more than $400 million in cuts he announced this week will just be the tip of the iceberg. And one of those cuts was eliminating state funding for LIHEAP, a program that provides energy assistance to tens of thousands across the state. $165 million from LIHEAP, leaving it funded solely by federal money. Kim Rutherford, LIHEAP coordinator at Crosswalk Community Action Agency in West Frankfort, says more than 6,000 households in Williamson, Franklin, and Jefferson counties rely on LIHEAP to pay their electric bills.
When that state money came about, it really helped us. It helped us help more people. We had more staff, so it's been very nice having it.
Now, the loss of state money would cut the amount of people receiving assistance in half and likely shorten the amount of time assistance is available throughout the year.
Under the Rauner cuts, 5 Illinois state museums could suspend operations and close to visitors. That includes the Southern Illinois Art Gallery in Whittington. A spokesperson says the exact date for the suspension of the sites remains unclear, but may occur over the next month. The state would continue to maintain and secure the museums to protect artifacts and exhibits. Oh, a pretty great day to get outside and hit the links.
And it looks like our chances of seeing some showers could go up tomorrow, though. Jim has the forecast when we come back.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
Nice to see the clouds break earlier today. Quite a bit of sunshine in some spots. Clouds always present, but we did see the sunbeams getting in, warming things up. A quick check on satellite animation this evening, though, and you can see there are more clouds out there. Now, they have been showing signs of thinning and dissipating as they're moving across Missouri in the last couple of hours, but even a few starting to show up in southern Illinois tonight. So I think that cloud cover, plus what's building out west, some very strong storms showing up in parts of Colorado, parts of Kansas, into Nebraska as well. Some of those clouds will likely drift through here over the next couple of days as well. We're watching a developing cold front well off to the north. Looks like it will be very close to the region, maybe even swing through the region briefly during the weekend, and then become a stationary front and wobble about. And every time we see that, we're going to see the chance for rain go up. Every time that boundary swings through, the chance is going to go up. That's still a few days off. The cooler air well off to the north this evening, seeing readings more typical for what we expect this time of year especially from here back into the plains. St. Louis right now reporting 73, Amarillo 77, Dodge City reporting 78 degrees. 79 was our high today, so out of the 60s, several days in the 50s and 60s. Felt like a little bit of a heat wave, but is actually cooler than normal. The normal high 84. 54 our low this morning, again cooler than normal there. Still more than an inch and a half wetter than normal for the year, and more chances coming in. Tomorrow during the day, though, I think most of us should stay dry. Very small chance during the day. It goes up late afternoon into the evening. 65 degrees currently in Harrisburg. Dew point has actually ticked up just a little bit as well, showing at 60 right now with a little light east wind. Will bounce around southeast to northeast, but generally be out of the east all evening and much of tomorrow, I think, as well, but expected to be very light. Skycast, not a lot going on here. A few clouds around again. Little chances for showers showing up. That one wave moves in during the morning. I think the other wave moves in later tomorrow evening. May actually be even closer to Friday morning. And then another chance rolls in late Friday evening into early Saturday morning. So right now the best chances are timing out during the dark hours over the next 48 to 72 hours or so. So tomorrow we're going to leave rain off of the board for the day, knowing that there's a little chance. But the bigger chance comes certainly after 3 p.m. And temperatures should be a little warmer tomorrow with some sunshine and few clouds around, variable winds. High expected around 84 or so. Friday, a quick check on the Skycast there. We'll drill in a little closer to the day. You can see at midnight there's that little chance left over, a little chance, and then you get into the afternoon and evening. We start to see more of the green blobs invading, the chances for rain looking a little bit bigger there. And that chance then will stick around through the weekend. I think the chance is bigger on Sunday than it is on Saturday. Can't take it off of Saturday. Still enough chance we have to think about it. And then I think the chance may go up again on Monday as that next cold front starts to get a little bit closer. Before the cold front gets here, though, warm and muggy, at least maybe even hot and humid for some folks, with temperatures from the upper 60s to the mid 80s.
Like you keep telling us, eventually we'll have the heat to complain about.
We sure will.
Thanks, Jim. Well, it is week 4 of our Weather Warriors segment. The past week brought a couple of notable chasing events for our Tony Lawback. He says he also got to take some time to rest, recharge, and reflect.
Greetings from western Nebraska, where I come to you for the first time this 2015 storm season. I'm meteorologist Tony Lawback. The last week of storm chasing has offered very few opportunities to get out. However, the opportunities I have had, I've been able to make count.
Right in front of us.
Oh, wow.
The final week of May was bookended by a couple of chase days, while the middle was spent taking care of a few odds and ends, mainly vehicle work and the windshield replacement. The windshield made its final stand in what was supposed to be a low-key gentleman's chase in western Kansas. But by the time the day was done, I added 4 tornadoes to this year's count.
It's going to pass right here.
And while the twisters were brief and may have combined for all of a couple of minutes, they put a happy exclamation point to what was a busy May. After the quiet weekend, I returned to the road to chase a marginal setup in the Nebraska Panhandle, and the target storm did not disappoint. In addition to the plethora of the SLCs, or what we call scary-looking clouds, the storm blew in hard with high winds and hail, enough to actually capsize a boat on the freeway north of the town of Hemingford in the northern part of the Nebraska Panhandle. After the storm moved on, it actually gave way to a brilliant display of mammatus clouds, which led to the day's end.
So after a fun day here in western Nebraska, the sun sets on week 4. Just a couple of chases in the books for this week, but it turned out to be a great week.
The stats of the last 7 days included another 1,700 miles of driving, this time through the states of Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. Storms were seen on 2 of the last 7 days, with last Thursday's chase yielding 4 tornadoes, tied for the most I've seen in one day this year.
I feel very fortunate that this week was kind of dead, as it gave me a chance to reflect on the events of 2 years ago. On May 31st, 2013, my dear friends and fellow storm chasers Tim Samaras, Paul Samaras, and Carl Young lost their lives in a tornado near El Reno, Oklahoma.
I recently took some time to visit the memorial site that was created by the storm chasing and meteorological communities. While May 31st marks the anniversary of this tragic event, I feel their absence every day, and that absence is so much harder during this time of the year. Since that event, every mile I've driven and every tornado I have seen has been in their memory. And while there may not always be weather to chase, I will forever have 3 amazing reasons to look toward the skies. For News 3 and for TwistX, I am meteorologist Tony Lawback.
And Tony remains out west, where several days of setups look to keep him very busy straight into the weekend.
Time for some News 3 follow-ups now. The man who landed his small helicopter on the U.S. Capitol lawn could soon find himself out of a job. Doug Hughes says the Postal Service plans to give him the pink slip. Hughes will return to court later this month on numerous charges. Back in April, you remember, he landed his gyrocopter at the Capitol and planned to deliver letters to every member of Congress. The Postal Service calls Hughes' conduct unacceptable. And the man accused of shooting 2 police officers during a Ferguson, Missouri protest says he's not guilty. 20-year-old Jeffrey Williams made that plea today during his arraignment on felony assault and other charges. Williams' attorney denied he pulled the trigger, but prosecutors say he admitted to shooting and had aimed at the gun at someone else. Both officers continue recovering from their injuries while Williams remains in jail on $300,000 bond.
In tonight's To Your Health, health experts say tens of millions of Americans abuse alcohol, and as Dr. Tim Johnson reports, most of them won't seek out help.
For many of us, a beer with a friend or a glass of Merlot is a pleasurable way to unwind. But for nearly 1 in 3 Americans, alcohol use poses a problem, one that can turn into alcoholism. And now a new report reveals that millions with this problem never get the treatment that could help them. The report, published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, may come not a moment too soon. The rates of those who have experienced what doctors call alcohol use disorder and what we call alcoholism have increased by more than 40% since 2002. Yet 4 out of 5 Americans with alcoholism never receive treatment. Men appear to be at the highest risk. Those who have never been married or have experienced divorce also appear to face an increased risk. The good news is that treatment can help, and the finding that so many Americans struggle with this problem may remove the stigma from the disorder, encouraging those who just can't say no to that drink to seek the care they need. I'm Dr. Timothy Johnson.
A new $26 million hospital should open soon in Perry County. The new Pinckneyville Community Hospital will have 17 private patient beds as well as 3 ER treatment rooms in its trauma center. Hospital CEO Tom Hudgens says workers have finished about 95% of the building. It still needs an inspection by the Illinois Department of Public Health. Hospital workers hope to move into the new building by the end of July. They'll hold an open house June 14th. Well, the Miners go to bat tonight hoping to outscore the Boomers of Schaumburg. We'll have highlights of their big baseball battle coming up.
But first, Mount Vernon baseball looks to book their spot in Saturday's sectional championship with a win today over Effingham. Kelly's got the highlights next with News 3 Sports.
This is News 3 Sports in HD.
The Mount Vernon Rams baseball team is no stranger to sectionals. The Rams making their 4th trip to the semis since 2010 and taking on Effingham for a chance to go to Saturday's sectional title game. Rams ace Blake Jones lived up to the billing. He had help in the field. Derek Hayes with the pick in the first to rob Adam Custer of a hit. This one scoreless into the bottom of the 5th when Aaron Morgan delivered a 2-out single to right. Reed Millwood sliding home safely to give the Rams a 1-0 lead in this game. And Mount Vernon tried to add some insurance in the 6th, but Reed Schaefer, check out this fantastic diving catch to rob Jones of extra bases and an RBI. Now 2 outs in the 7th, Michael Woltman putting a charge into 1, but Sam Storman, Millwood, and Ryan Campbell combined for the perfect relay to gun down Woltman at second to end it. Jones finished with a 2-hit shutout. Rams headed to the title game with the 1-0 shutout.
We played from behind all year, and we've been in this type of game, these one-run games, and our guys don't get shook, and they have a pretty good mentality. And I think that comes from being a veteran club. And, we felt like we were going to break through if we kept having good at-bats. Today we were able to get that done. Kid hit the ball. I was just hoping it stayed in the park. We've got a short right field here, and it stayed in, 1 hop off the wall, and we hit our cut and fired him out in second. So it's an exciting way to end the game, and it's a great win for us.
So Mount Vernon will meet Highland in Saturday's title game. The Bulldogs a 9-5 winner today over Waterloo. Frontier League, the SI Miners looking to bounce back from a series opening loss to the Boomers. Frank Martinez with the Miners' first hit of the game in the 4th, but they would strand him. Rick Teasley, meanwhile, on the mound, 7 shutout innings, 5 Ks, including a pair here in the 6th. And the Miners score 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th, naturally right after we left this one, and cruise to the win 4-1. Well, given all the high school playoff games the past few days, we made you wait a little longer to relive last week's best plays. Here's Caleb with a rare Wednesday edition of Martin's Moments.
What an incredible week it was. I am showcasing an amazing catch on the baseball field, a play that rarely happens in softball, a game winner, and some impressive performances in track and field. Here they are in Martin's Moments.
At number 3, check out this incredible catch by DuQuoin's Cole Hopkins. Somehow he is able to make the diving catch at the fence for the out. DuQuoin went on to beat Harrisburg 9-6. At number 2, it's a tie, but both plays come from the same team. First, Nashville's Jordy Hari rips this one down the right field line, and she is off to the races as she rounds third and heads home for the in-the-park home run. Nashville won the game 5-0. Then in the sectional title game against Carterville, in the bottom of the 15th inning, Nashville freshman Carly Stanowski hits the walk-off single as Nashville wins the sectional title. And number 1 this week at the boys state track and field meet, West Frankfort senior Hunter Johnson won a state title in the high jump, clearing 6 feet 9 inches. And Carbondale sophomore Sam Sykin captured 2 state titles. First in the shot put with a throw of 61 feet and a 1/4 inch. And then in discus with a distance of 174 feet and 7 inches.
So what will our cameras capture this week? Find out next Monday on Martin's Moments. Caleb Martin, News 3 Sports.
Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. The Lightning won the first period. Alex Killorn somehow redirects this puck midair into the goal to give Tampa Bay a 1-0 lead. That held up until the third. The Hawks tied it up in the third. Then with about 4 minutes just over to go, Antoine Vermette lights the lamp for the go-ahead goal. Hawks rally late for the 2-1 win. Also today, the Cardinals win, the White Sox win, the Cubs fall to the Marlins.
We talked about this earlier. The Hawks have a good chance.
Yeah, very good chance. Interesting to see how the rest of the series will play out.
All right.
Thanks, Kelly. We'll be right back. Well, we got to see the sun today, but it's been kind of hard to tell what's going to happen lately.
Yeah, we're going to see more sun the next couple of days. And if you're traveling, lots more sun scattered about, but also a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity, similar places to today. Off in the plains, you're going to see some. Off to the east, you'll see some around here. I think we're dry during the day tomorrow.
Definitely cheers everybody up. Well, Jimmy Kimmel Live is coming up next, followed by Nightline.
So for Jayla, Jim, Kelly, and the entire News 3 team, I'm Dennis Turner. Thanks for joining us now. We look for you again tomorrow at 5.